Hello and welcome back. For a while I've kind of wanted a project car. Now I finally found one that was cheap enough for me to somewhat afford. This is a 1976 MG Midget. This video quality is pretty bad because my dad sent it to me through a text message. Here you can see what it's like to drive from inside. My brother took it for a spin. And as you can see, it has only 45,400 miles on it. First thing I did was I sealed up the shifter leather here. It was leaking quite a bit of dust in. Also, the center console thing wasn't bolted on all the way, so I ended up just removing the radio. I also wanted to clean the floor and behind the seats and all that, and back there I found what turned out to be an exhaust tip. So here the driver's seat is out, and you can see how much of a mess there is, how much random crap there is back there. Also with the seat out, I was able to lubricate the parking brake. I was able to get it to move, but it still doesn't work. You can see all that's holding these seats on is just 4 bolts on the bottom of the car. You can see just how much of a mess of rust and stuff there is on these floorboards underneath the carpet. I ended up having to chisel some of the carpet glue off the floor so that I could clean in there. I also adjusted the valve slack, whatever it's called, and while the valve cover was off, I painted that. Figured I might as well do all that just to be safe, but also the car came with a valve cover gasket. Here you can see the valve cover on the car. Somewhere around this time a spray helicopter flew by. It's kind of neat. Then I put it up on blocks in order to change all the oils. This is how it runs before changing the oil and whatnot. When I was changing the differential oil, I saw that here you can see there's a bump stop for the rear suspension and a downwards limit strap. If you slowly make your way over to the other side, you can see this downward limit strap is broken right off, and also the bump stop is completely missing. You can even see there's a little hole in the top there where the bolt hit. In order to take the differential plugs out, I made this fancy little tool, but unfortunately I wasn't able to use it to get the drain plug out because it's too loose. So I just used a pair of vice grips to take it out. In order to fill the differential and transmission, I used this setup with a rubber hose just on the end of one of these squirt bottles. So I'd squeeze it for as long as I could and then pull the hose off and let some air in and then put it back on and continue squeezing. My hands hurt pretty bad after that. I had a lot of trouble finding the correct oil filter for this. I ended up finding one with a bigger diameter and had to grind down this nut here. But we did get the proper oil pressure. So next up was to take care of an overheating problem. You can see the radiator out. You can see just how much slop this water pump and fan have. Also, there's a bunch of crap down there that I vacuumed up. Here's a picture of the water pump removed. You can see just what kind of condition it's in. So you see I got the new one on. I pressed the fan hub off of the old one and onto the new one. We also washed the entire engine bay. And you can see it leaked into the inside there. I just sopped that up with a rag. You can see how loose the fan is after installation, but tightening the bolts fixed that. Here the engine is all put back together. Once it's ready for the road, we took it to the local park. So at this point, this car is roadworthy, but it still does need a lot of work. I ordered suspension bushings for it and some front brake pads. It is a little bit sketchy to drive though, because when you're going 60 miles an hour, it feels like you're going about 150, and the steering is pretty sensitive. I'm thinking that new bushings will fix that. So I guess I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope to see you next time.